Hi dear children, good morning. I hope you do remember all those question paper patterns. Last year you were familiar with it.
Today we are going to discuss about writing stories. For you, question number 4 in your board exam question paper will be writing stories. Now we are going to discuss the important points to be carried while we are writing stories and the tips to score the maximum in that question. First of all, let's see the definition of a short story. The first point, it tells about a single event or experience. Short stories are fictional, they are not true. And it includes 500 to 15,000 words in length. It has a beginning, middle, and end, and it creates an impression on the reader. First of all, let us see the important elements of a short story. We have 5 most important key elements in a story writing, and they are character, setting, plot, conflict, and theme. We have a lot more, but these 5 are the most important ones. Setting is to say about the time, period, and the location of the story happens. Here you have to mention the setting with the time for few months or years, and you have to describe the surroundings very well, and it must be appealing to all the 5 senses of your readers. Use suitable adjectives, script dialogues, and whatever is needed to make the story beautiful. The golden rule for selecting characters in story writing is fewer are better. A story writing would more effectively convey its meaning if it has very few characters. One main character, one protagonist, and a very few 1 or 2 side characters. That will be the most beautiful selection of characters. Then the plot is telling about a series of events by which the writer reveals what happens to whom, when, and why, all those questions answers. This is very important as far as a short story is concerned. Conflict is a situation or a problem that is created in the story, and this situation is to be solved by the main character of the story with or without the help of the other characters. As you all know, all the stories will have a climax which says about the highest point of conflict and says about a happy ending either or a sad ending, whatever is there, which says about an ending to the story. Resolution part is very simple actually. After the climax there will be a point till the end of the story. That part is known as conclusion also. That's what is the resolution here. You have to make a resolution also. Once when you do the climax, don't try to finish it. Make sure that you are having a resolution part also to make sure what really happened in the climax. The theme of the story means it's the main idea, the message which the writer needs to communicate with the reader. That's what is the message, the theme. And here in your aspect, when you are writing a story for the exam, actually the beginning part or the hints, either the beginning part or the hints will be given to you. So there you have to either develop the hints or to start with the beginning and to develop it into a big story. There, when you are developing it, first of all you must keep a theme in your mind and develop the story accordingly, that the readers will get an enjoyment while reading the story, develop a climax, develop a conflict, and everything must be set properly into the theme. Then only the story will be enjoyable and interesting to the readers. And another important point is the point of view of the writer. Once when the narrator is presenting something, what is his view towards the incident, the event, and all those things must be very important, and that will be very clearly given there. That's what is meant by point of view. Short story writing is such a wonderful and beautiful art done successfully by many people in the world of literature. In English literature, we can remember a few names like Anton Chekhov and Somerset Maugham. Many more other people have done it successfully and have marked their name in golden letters in the history of literature. Even in Indian English literature, we can remember R.K. Narayan and many other people who have drawn such beautiful stories and have gifted them into the world of literature. Now let's look deep into the point character setting. As I told you in the beginning, it's better to have 2 to 4 characters because we have to choose the least number of characters for short stories. And once when we are selecting the characters, we must make sure that they are sound real to the readers. And the names also must be similar to the reality. For example, once when we are giving the pirate names, Scared Faced Bob, Redbeard, the Horrible Buccaneer of the East, all those type of names, those adjectives, adverbs, those words must be used exactly and the name must be highlighted. And please avoid using your friends' names in the story. Try to use imaginary names and imaginary people. And you can think of funny names to make your story more humorous. And you have to describe the appearance of the characters, the movement of them, how they talk, how they behave, how they feel. All those things you can use very clearly using the adjectives angry, excited, happy, sad, curious, tired, etc. And the most important point which you have to care is the starting of the story. How can we start the story? We can think of 3 different ways to start a story, and the first one is beginning the story with a dialogue. We can directly add the dialogue of 2 or more people and can begin the story. And the second one is by adding the action, and in this point we have to start the story with an interesting action part which will lead the story into an interesting point. You can introduce the theme here itself if you want. And the third part is starting the story with the description. You can start the description of the plot, the scene, surrounding, etc. of the story as the beginning of the story. Now comes the most important question: what should we include in a good story? And the answer is very simple. It's events. You are expected to add beautiful, interesting events, and that will make the story more wonderful and exciting. And now what all things we have done? We have created an event, we have made a plot, we have set the characters, and we had started the story also. And finally, we must be taking care about the last part, the ending of the story. Let's see how we have to end. And here, once when we are ending the story there, we have to explain the results of the events or to show how the problem was solved. Endings usually bring the story round full circle. And here comes the most important part of story writing, that is the ending or closing sentence. That is also very important and as important as the opening of the story. This usually comes up with the theme of the story or comes up as the message of the story. You must be careful while doing it. Now we are set with the story plan, and now you have to go with all these points given in this slide. The first thing is the title of your story. Make sure that the title of your story is such beautiful and interesting. And then comes the setting where it takes place. The plot and the setting, they are very important. Where it takes place, where the story takes place, and what happens there, all those points are very important. And the next and the third point is the characters. Who are the characters? What are they doing? What are their specialities? All those things must be catered well. And then we have to think about an important problem or a situation which we have planned for the story. We have to make the problem introduced well, make it sensed by the people. It must be sensible for the people. A normal problem which we also face, then only the readers will be able to understand it well and make it feel that this is a real story. And then comes the second last point, the solution of the problem. How the characters are finding a solution to the problem is also very important. And we must avoid using more heroic and overactive reactions and expressions while we are solving the problem or the situation. And at last comes the ending of the story, as I have given in the instructions very clearly. After going on with the climax, we must have to find an ending part into the story. And in that also the last sentence is very important, which must be giving a theme or a message of the story. Highlight that sentence. Okay? And one important point which you have to note is you must write a title to the story because it carries 1 mark. If you write the story, you are very sure that you will get 1 mark. And make sure you are writing a sensible title for the story.
Hope you understood it very well. If you have any doubt, we can talk in the interaction session. You can come to me with any doubts. And thank you. Have a nice day.